I never expected my mother-in-law to burst into my house claiming ownership, but looking back, I should have seen it coming. My name is Sophia Anderson, and this is the story of how I exposed the truth about our family's $2.5 million dream home. It all started 3 years ago when I met Michael Turner at a charity gala. I was there representing my investment firm, where I'd worked my way up to senior portfolio manager. Michael was the talented architect who had designed the venue. We clicked instantly, sharing the same values about hard work and building a future through honest effort. What I didn't realize then was that I wasn't just falling in love with Michael. I was stepping into a complex web of family dynamics dominated by his mother, Victoria Turner, a woman who believed money equaled control. "Oh, you work in finance?" was the first thing Victoria said when we met, her eyes scanning my modest dress with barely concealed disappointment. How interesting. Though I always hoped Michael would marry someone from our social circle. By our social circle, she meant old money families who spent their weekends at country clubs. What Victoria didn't know was that while I lived modestly, my investment strategies had made me quite successful. I just didn't believe in flaunting wealth. Michael and I married after a year of dating, much to Victoria's dismay. She had tried everything to break us up, from setting him up with more suitable women to spreading rumors about my background. Nothing worked. Michael saw through her manipulations, and our love grew stronger. "Don't let my mother get to you," Michael would say. "She's just used to controlling everything. It drives her crazy that she can't control this." The real drama began when we started looking for a house. Victoria had always insisted that Michael live in the family's guest house, keeping him close and dependent. Our decision to move out sent her into a frenzy. "The guest house is perfectly fine," she'd protest. "Why waste money on a new house when you have everything here?" What she really meant was, "Why move somewhere where I can't monitor your every move?" Michael and I had found the perfect property, a beautiful contemporary home with stunning views of the city. The price tag was $2.5 million, which Victoria assumed we couldn't afford. What she didn't know was that I had been saving and investing wisely for years. "I can help with the down payment," Victoria offered smugly during a family dinner, clearly expecting us to depend on her money. Of course, I'd need to be on the deed, just to protect the family's interests. I smiled politely and declined. "That's very kind, but we've got it covered." The look of shock on her face was priceless. She couldn't fathom that we could manage without her money, and therefore her control. We moved into our new home 2 months later. Victoria made a show of examining everything, pointing out imaginary flaws and suggesting we should have listened to her about staying in the guest house. But we were happy, and that's all that mattered. Then came the day that changed everything. I was working from home when Victoria burst through our front door without knocking, waving some papers and looking triumphant. "This is MY House," she shouted, her voice echoing through our foyer. "I bought it." I looked up from my laptop, startled but not entirely surprised by her dramatic entrance. Michael was at work, conveniently missing his mother's latest performance. "What are you talking about, Victoria?" I asked calmly. She thrust the papers in my face. "These prove that I provided the money for this house. I've been tracking all the transactions, and I know Michael couldn't afford this place on his architect's salary. You've been using MY money." I had to admire her confidence, misplaced as it was. She had apparently hired a private investigator to track our finances, but she jumped to all the wrong conclusions. "You really want to do this, Victoria?" I asked, pulling out my phone. "You really want to see who paid for this house?" "Don't try to fool me with fake documents," she sneered. "I know my son's salary, and yours couldn't be much better. There's no way you could afford a $2.5 million house without my money." I opened my banking app and pulled up my investment portfolio, along with all the mortgage payments that had been automatically deducted from my account. "Take a look," I said, holding out my phone. "Every payment, every transaction, all from my earnings. I've been in investment management for 12 years, Victoria. Did you really think I wouldn't be good at managing my own money?" Her face went from smug to pale as she scrolled through the records. There it all was, the down payment, the monthly mortgages, everything documented in perfect detail. But this is impossible," she stammered. "These numbers, they're..." Higher than you expected? I finished for her. That's because, unlike some people, I don't feel the need to broadcast my success. I've worked hard, invested wisely, and built my own wealth. This house belongs to Michael and me. The only name on the deed that matters is ours. Victoria sank into our Italian leather armchair, which I had also paid for, as the reality of the situation hit her. All this time, she had assumed I was some gold digger after her family's money, when in fact, I had more financial success than she did. "Does Michael know about this?" she asked weakly. "Of course he does. We don't keep secrets from each other. He knows exactly how much I make and how I've invested over the years. The only one living in a fantasy world was you, Victoria." But Victoria wasn't done yet. She pulled out her phone and frantically called her lawyer, speaking loudly enough for me to hear every word. "James? Yes, I need you to look into something immediately. My daughter-in-law claims she bought their house with her own money. There must be some sort of fraud involved." I couldn't help but laugh, which only made her more agitated. "By all means investigate," I said. "While you're at it, why don't we have a look at some other interesting financial records?" I pulled up another folder on my phone, one I'd been keeping just in case something like this happened. "For instance, let's talk about how you've been manipulating Michael's trust fund, the one his father left him. You've been dipping into it for years, haven't you?" Victoria's face went from pale to ashen. "How do you?" "I'm a financial professional, Victoria. Did you think I wouldn't notice the irregular withdrawals when Michael showed me his statements? The mysterious transfers to offshore accounts? The fact that his trust fund should be worth nearly twice what it is now." "You had no right to look into that," she sputtered. "Actually, as his wife and a certified financial advisor, I had every right. Michael asked me to review his finances when we got married. He trusted me to look out for his interests. All his interests." Victoria's lawyer was still on the phone, and I could hear him asking what was going on. She quickly hung up, her hands shaking. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "I want you to understand something very clearly," I said, leaning forward. "This is our house. Michael and I bought it with our money, mainly mine, actually. You have no claim to it, no right to it, and no say in what happens here. And if you ever try to challenge that again, I'll be forced to look very closely at those trust fund discrepancies." Just then, Michael walked in, having come home early from work. He took in the scene, his mother looking defeated in our armchair, me standing calmly by my desk, papers scattered everywhere. "Mom? What's going on?" Victoria jumped up, gathering her things. "Nothing, darling. Just a misunderstanding about the house. I was just leaving." As she hurried past him, Michael looked at me questioningly. I showed him the papers she had brought, her proof that she had supposedly funded our home purchase. "She hired a private investigator?" he asked, looking both angry and sad. "She really thought we were using her money?" "She couldn't imagine that we could do this on our own," I explained. But I showed her the truth. Michael sank into the chair his mother had just vacated. "Did you tell her about what you found in my trust fund?" I mentioned it. "I think she finally understands that she's not dealing with some naive girl she can bully anymore." The next few weeks were interesting. Victoria stopped her surprise visits and her constant calls to Michael. The family gossip mill went into overdrive as she tried to save face, spreading stories about how she had allowed us to buy the house ourselves as a lesson in responsibility. But the dynamic had shifted permanently. Victoria's power had always come from her perceived financial control over Michael. Now that the truth was out, both about our independence and her mismanagement of his trust fund, she had to adjust to a new reality. Michael started the process of recovering his trust fund assets with my help and the assistance of a forensic accountant. The final tally of Victoria's unauthorized withdrawals was staggering, nearly $800,000 over 10 years. "I just can't believe she would do this," Michael said one night as we reviewed the accountant's findings. "All those times she talked about protecting the family's wealth, she was stealing from me." "Some people think love means control," I told him, squeezing his hand. "Your mother never understood the difference." Victoria eventually agreed to repay the missing trust fund money to avoid legal consequences. She sold her beloved country club membership and downsized her lifestyle considerably. It was a hard fall from her self-appointed position as family matriarch. But the story doesn't end there. About 6 months after the confrontation in our living room, Victoria showed up at our door again. This time she knocked. "I've been seeing a therapist," she announced without preamble. "She's helping me understand some things about control and relationships. I owe you both an apology. It wasn't an instant fix. Years of manipulative behavior don't change overnight. But it was a start." Victoria began to see that real family relationships are built on trust and respect, not money and control. We set clear boundaries. No more surprise visits. No more meddling in our finances. No more attempts to manipulate Michael through guilt or money. To everyone's surprise, including her own, Victoria began to adjust to her new role as a mother who supports rather than controls. The house that sparked all this drama became a symbol of our independence and strength as a couple. We've made it truly our own, filling it with memories and love. Michael's architecture practice has flourished, and my investment career continues to grow. Victoria still struggles sometimes with her need for control, but she's learning. Last month, she came to dinner and actually complimented my choice of decor without adding any backhanded comments about how she would have done it differently. The most surprising change came when Victoria started asking me for financial advice. It turns out that once she got past her resentment, she realized that my expertise could benefit her too. I've helped her restructure her investments and create a sustainable retirement plan. "I wish I had understood sooner," she told me recently. "All that energy I spent trying to control everything, when I could have been building real relationships instead." Michael and I are expecting our first child now, and Victoria's reaction to the news showed how far she's come. Instead of immediately trying to dictate how we should prepare for the baby, she simply asked how she could help. "Just be a loving grandmother," I told her. "That's all we want." The house that was meant to be her power play has become a home filled with love, understanding, and growing family bonds. Sometimes I catch her looking around with a mixture of embarrassment and admiration, remembering the day she stormed in claiming ownership. "You've created something beautiful here," she admitted during her last visit. "Both the house and the life you've built with Michael. I'm sorry I couldn't see it sooner." Our story has become something of a legend among our friends. The day my mother-in-law tried to claim our house and discovered she wasn't the financial power player she thought she was. But I prefer to think of it as the day that started our family's healing process. The lesson in all this isn't about money or power. It's about understanding that real family relationships can't be bought or controlled. They have to be built on trust, respect, and genuine love. As I sit in our living room, looking out at the city views that first drew us to this house, I'm grateful for how everything turned out. Not just because we kept our home, but because we found a way to build a real family relationship with Victoria, one based on truth rather than manipulation. The banking app that exposed the truth that day still sits on my phone, but I haven't had to use it as proof of anything since then. Victoria has learned that some things are worth more than money, like the smile on her son's face when he talks about our future baby, or the peaceful family dinners we now enjoy without power plays or hidden agendas. Our house has become more than just a beautiful property or a symbol of financial independence. It's a testament to the power of standing up for yourself while leaving room for others to grow and change. Victoria's dramatic entrance that day didn't just expose the truth about our finances, it opened the door to a more honest and meaningful family relationship. And that, more than any amount of money, is what makes this house truly valuable. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.